All the tools used in this and all of our videos are available at the Bow Tuning Tips online store. Be sure to check them out at bowtuningtips.com. Hey everybody, this week I want to talk about bow presses. You know, I was watching a couple of videos the other day online and I seen some crazy stuff going on with the bow press world. I mean, I seen one guy trying to sell you guys a bow press that cost over $1,000. I seen another guy trying to sell you guys a bow press that actually was a modified rope ratchet in order to press your bow down. And it had plastic stuff on it and rope. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute, man. I take one of those and hang my deer in my barn with it. And the thing was, is that to me, it wasn't all safe. They asked a couple of questions, and the guy didn't even know how to go about pressing a bow down the proper way. They asked if you should take your limb bolts out. And he said, I've never done it before in my life. So wow, I was like, oh man, so it's time for me to come in and straighten everything out about this bow press thing. Okay, I'm not here to sell you anything, but I'm here to let you know there's options. $1,000 bow press, I sell those on my website for sure. You can go in there and buy one, no problem. We'll have that thing freight delivered to your house, and it'll take you an hour to put it together. Great bow press, it'll do anything you want to your bow, including take it completely apart to where there's every single individual piece laying on the table. 9 times out of 10, you're never going to have to do that. As far as a home bow pro goes, such as, you know, me, I'm at my home shop. I've been doing a lot of my videos from my home shop because I know a lot of you guys, that's where you do your work, is in your shop. You got a shop in your basement or in your garage or in some part of your house. And if you're lucky, and your wife's cool. But anyway, so I've started doing these videos here and I'm using the tools that a home bow pro needs to use. I'm not going to use the tools that I use at my shop because I've got that $1,000 bow press at my shop. It's pretty yellow, black, that thing's clean, and it's awesome. And yes, I'm going to use that when my customers come in because the fact that thing's bad news and they like, you know, they want their bow in a big bad press. You don't necessarily need it though. You know, if I'm going to take it all the way apart, yeah, that thing would be great. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to use a Bowmaster bow press because for number one, that thing's all metal. It's $45, $50, I think. I don't know for sure what the price is. It's like $50, and it'll do anything you need to do to your bow, including replace your strings and cables. It'll actually let you put peep sights in, do string twists if you're trying to adjust your split yoke, all that stuff. It'll do it all. So anyway, talking about the Bowmaster, it's a little red and silver and black tool. It's got a cable here. It's got an adjustable end on one side. I'll show you guys about that in a minute. The other side's stationary. It's got a piece of thread with a bolt in there, and it's got a little T-slide thing like a ratchet has. There's a little close-up of that, you know. It's all metal. It's aluminum and steel. Okay. All right. Now, I saw one video the other day, and the guy was trying to show people how to replace their cables, and he was sticking a screwdriver through the cams. And I was like, holy GBs, you got to be kidding me. He's sticking a screwdriver in the cams. I mean, dude, you don't do that. That is a great way to lose a finger. Number one, I guarantee you, if you call any bow manufacturer out there and ask them if it's okay if you stick a screwdriver or an Allen wrench or something through your cam in order to change your strings, they're going to say, no, it's not okay. You need to put that thing in a press. You know why they tell you that? Because there's a tool for the job. If you know what I'm saying. You don't use a screwdriver to take off lug nuts, if you get what I'm saying. Sure, you might be able to take a pair of vice grips and take that thing off, a bolt off, but there's probably a socket or a wrench that'll fit it. So that's what I would use if I were you. You know, I'm just saying, you can do what you want, but I had a guy come in my shop about 10 years ago. I'll tell you this little quick story. He wanted me to change his bow draw length on his XI. And I said, sure, $10, man. And he's like, $10? You're crazy, man. I ain't paying $10. It's only 5 minutes. And I'm like, well, you know, I got to pay for the bow press somehow. And that's $10. It's pretty reasonable, I think. I don't know. So he gets mad and he leaves. I was like, no big deal, whatever, you know. About a week later, he comes in and he had the bow with him and he had his hand all bandaged up. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just kind of, it is funny now, and I'm sure he probably laughs, hopefully. But anyway, he had his hand all bandaged up, and he said, yeah, kind of with his head in his hand, I wanted to get this bow fixed. Now the cable's messed up, and it's off track, and he wanted to get the draw length adjusted too. And I was like, All right, that's cool. So I go over and put it in the press, and I'm getting it all back down. Now I had to put it in my big press because of the fact that the bow's now kind of haywire. It's a little bit too far out to get with the Bowmaster, if you know what I'm saying, to bring it back in. So I put it in the bow press. I get everything all set up, and I'm talking to the guy, and I said, man, what exactly happened? And he said, oh, well, he goes, I was sitting there, and I thought about sticking something in the cam, so I drew the bow back, and I had my son stick a screwdriver in there, and when I was trying to get the cable, the string moved around on the other little peg in order to shorten my draw length, I was having a little trouble, so I kind of like pushed it with my hand. Well, the screwdriver slipped around, and when it did, it ended up pinching his thumb, and it didn't like sling all the way around, but it pinched his thumb enough that it almost severed it, because the insides of those cams right there, they're not sharp like razor blades, but man, that thing will cut you, you know. A deer antler ain't sharp, but it'll cut you. So he ended up almost cutting his dang thumb off. Here's this kid helping him, seeing this thing is freaking him out. He's probably scared of a bow now. But the short story is, he was doing it wrong. I mean, you don't stick a screwdriver in there. You get hurt. You know, it's your bow. It's your fingers. If you feel like you need to do that, or comment on this video because you think that that's okay, hey, baby, go right ahead and do it. I'm just telling you the right way, okay? All right. Now, that's one safety thing. You don't ever stick nothing in there to draw your bow back. The only real safety factor that I think that a person needs to know before they press a bow is they need to back the limb bolts out 4 turns on top and on the bottom. I don't go any more than 4. Now you want to make sure that you're bottomed out and then back out 4. That's going to take a little bit of the tension off of the bowstring already. It's going to take tensions off these limbs, and it's going to allow the bow press to work a little less harder, and it's going to take the stress. I mean, it's just plain and simple. It's letting the stress off the bow so you don't have a cracked limb. Okay, now I've already backed the limb bolts out on this LX. 4 turns, it's gapped there, you can see. So, now, what I do when I'm using my bow press at my house, the Bowmaster, I use my bow grip in order to hold the bow steady so I can put the press on there and get it pressed down. I seen one video where a guy was doing it, and he was just flopping it all around on the bench, and it was just, I'm thinking, dude, you know, come on. That's just not a very, I don't like that. You know, I like to have like a third hand, something holding it. That's just my preference, and I know it's probably a lot of yours too. Okay, so what I do with this is I go ahead and I'll just take it and put it in my vise, and I spin it around, and then I like to lay this end on a table, okay, right on my bench. I get everything squared away, tighten it back down. Now, I don't know what kind of bow vise you got at home. I'm using the bow grip you guys seen. I use those all the time. I think they're the best. They're the most versatile there is, and they're solid. This thing's sturdy. You can see right there. I'm shaking the whole bench. Okay, now we got the bow parallel. This looks familiar for you guys out there who've seen bow presses in action. It's in the bow press position. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the Bowmaster on the bow. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, as you can see in the packaging, there's a couple little leather pieces. What these are here for is they'll go right here in the split of where your limbs are at in order to protect your finish from the cable. Now that cable's smooth, but you know, it's just a precautionary thing they put in there. You put one on this end, one on this end. Okay, now I told you before there's all these little notches that are on this cable. That is so you can adjust this to different bow axle lengths. I like to put that end towards my idler wheel. I'll go ahead and put the stationary end down here. You probably have to take your little leather part out to stick it through, but you just stick it right through the limb, just like that. And then you replace the leather piece underneath of the cable for protection. Okay, now just kind of keep that a little snug as you do this. Now, it's the same way on this end. You got the adjustable end. Go ahead and stick the end of the cable through the limb. And you pull your T through. Okay, now you go ahead and just slide it up till it meets the little crimp that's on the cable, and then you slide it over in the slot and it locks like so. Now what I like to do before I go crazy is I make sure I get this right in the center of the bow, right about where the handle's at. This is your turnbuckle, and go ahead and take a few turns in on it to put some tension on those ends. And that's what it's doing, is it's going to seat it. But you don't want to go ahead, you're not going to crank it down yet. You just want to go a little bit like that. I got some tension. I still got my tension on my string. And it's going to allow you to go ahead and make any adjustments you need to do, because you want these to be perfectly straight across on both ends. Now that, because they'll tend to move a little bit just in the process of getting it set. Now once you start cranking it down, now that you got all this tension on there, they won't move anymore. So then you just go back to the turnbuckle, keep cranking it. And if you want to put a ratchet on it, you can. You can take a ratchet and put it on this thing and go really quick. You like that? Sound effects, yep. Royalty-free sound effects of a ratchet. All right, you crank it down, and I don't know how many turns it takes to get it cranked off. It's kind of like the Tootsie Roll question. But I apparently got enough, because look, the string's all flopping around now. Now you can go ahead and you can split the string to put your peep sight in, replace the strings. You can go ahead and put a twist in it if you're trying to get your bus cables evened out. You can do any of that kind of stuff that you need to do with the strings. Now, if you're going to let the bow press off, I put some tension on the string. I'll go ahead and just pull it back a little bit like so, and then I'll start reversing this lefty-loosey, letting it down, and you'll see as I'm doing it, it's pulling the string down. It's transferring that energy from itself back to the string. And the reason I like to pull it up like that is it helps to keep these seated in the tracks of the cams and the outer wheel, especially if you have new strings, because they tend to be a little bit stiff and they're all brand new and not all, slack like these are. You just continue all the way out till you get it down. You'll see you got slack in it, and then it's simple. Just pull it back through the forks of the limbs, keeping your little leather pieces for next time, and voila. Pretty simple. I took 2 tools and I actually made 1 tool out of them. And I still have both tools that'll function separately on their own, which is, in this case, the bow vise and the bow press. I'm kind of one of those guys. I'm pretty no nonsense when it comes to stuff, and yeah, I do tend to get out on a rant sometimes with this whole thing. But safety's everything to me. I want you guys to learn how to do it properly. I want you to learn how to do it safely, so you don't damage your equipment, and above all, don't damage yourself or somebody that you're trying to help out while working on their bow. That's why I'm doing this, is to give you guys the proper information so that there's no problems with you breaking anything or getting hurt. Now the only thing left to do after we're done with this is to go ahead and crank the limb bolts back into the original position, whether it be bottom or 1 turnout, however the bow was set. And you're ready to go. Well, I hope this tip helped you out, and I hope it showed you guys a pretty cool idea of combining a couple of tools in order to get a really good quality bow press that's not going to break or make you lose any fingers. Well, until next time, you guys be sure to stay tuned. I'll catch you then. All the tools used in this and all of our videos are available at the Bow Tuning Tips online store. Be sure to check them out at bowtuningtips.com.